Hey everyone, welcome back to the Superhero Show. Daniel and Chris here. Chris, you've got a story.
Hi Daniel. 2 stories actually. We've had some Gambit updates this week.
Yeah, lots of updates.
So Gambit, in a year's time, Gambit will already be out, I think.
In 2017?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they're actually making some announcements to the film, which is about time, because they should be shooting pretty soon.
Yeah.
First of which was director. So there are a few names being bandied about after Rupert Wyatt left. So Joe Cornish was one, F. Gary Gray.
Because there was a farcical situation where they were a month away from shooting and no director.
Yeah.
So obviously it's gone back.
Which is never a good sign. Shane Black, even. But Doug Liman has got the gig, it sounds like. He's in kind of final negotiations. So thoughts on that?
I think I've not seen, I know it's one of your favourite films. I've never seen Swingers. I kind of came to Doug Liman through, I guess like loads of people, through Born Identity.
Yeah.
I think he suffers a little bit in that situation because Paul Greengrass came along and made 2 exceptional movies after him, so he kind of gets a bit of a bum deal.
He does, yeah.
But I thought Edge of Tomorrow was great.
Yeah.
I really liked Edge of Tomorrow. I went in with pretty low expectations because all the name changes and stuff and high concept, and I thought it was such a great, enjoyable action movie. So I think he's a good, safe pair of hands, and he's got something about him.
Yeah, he could do action. Mr. and Mrs. Smith has some good action set pieces. Obviously, Bourne does. Jumper felt more like he was a bit of a director for hire on that one. That one, I don't think anyone's heart was in that movie.
Yeah, and I don't know much about some of the quotes that came out about it. I think we're going to go on to that. Simon Kinberg talked about it being a sexy film.
Yeah.
And like a heist movie. Would that tie in with Lyman's early work much with Swingers?
I don't think you can judge him on Swingers.
Yeah.
Swingers is just a guerrilla style movie they made just on the streets and in bars and clubs. But I know the one thing that makes me wonder about Liman is there's always seems to be trouble behind the scenes on his movies. Like there's fallings out. Like oftentimes they make money, but there's always seems to be some. You hear rumours of like in the editing suite or on the set, like him having falling out with filmmakers and this and that. So Fox have obviously had an interesting year on that front with Fantastic Four. So
let's have more of it.
Yeah,
because also was he not attached to the Splinter Cell movie?
He was, yeah.
But that's a project that's kind of quietly evaporated.
Well, it's not going to happen anytime soon because of the amount of things Tom Hardy has on his plate at the moment. So, and I guess Gambit's going to be shooting straight away, so maybe it's something he's fitting in. But yeah, you mentioned those Simon Kinberg quotes. So Kinberg, who is kind of a bit of a script doctor overseeing all these X-Men projects behind the scenes,
isn't he?
Yeah. He's done the same with Star Wars as well, actually. But yeah, he said, comparing it to 2016 Deadpool, Kinberg explains that the film will have its own identity separate from the other X-Men films. The X-Men movies are dramatic and almost operatic, whereas Deadpool is irreverent and hysterical and sort of a dirty R-rated comedy in many ways. Gambit will have its own different flavour and tone to it. It will be more like a heist movie and a sexy thriller, in a way.
Oh, we had a really sexy superhero film yet.
Have some sexy villains, some sexy cat women.
Yeah, for all. Anyway,
that's throwing you off.
No, it's like what Marvel have done. Loads of people, so many superhero movies. People predict kind of genre fatigue, but Marvel have been good to combat that by changing the directors, changing the kind of filmic subgenres that each film draws upon. And it feels like Kimber's saying that thing about the X-Men movies.
Haven't we just had a superhero heist movie, though?
In Ant-Man? Yeah. But I think you could go further with the heist.
Sure.
Like, with the planning and the elements. Like, there is a couple of heist elements in Ant-Man, but I was expecting more, actually, considering how much they talked about that in the build-up to that movie. Also, on the subject of X-Men, they came out last week talking about the TV shows that are going to be on FX. And Kinberg dropped a comparison saying it's going to be the Breaking Bad of superhero TV shows. Obviously, you want to say that. It's a big thing to say. But I think he's trying to pitch the tone that it's going to be more like what Marvel's doing with Netflix than what DC's doing with Arrow and Flash.
Well, Channing Tatum will definitely bring the sexy with Gambit. The ladies love Channing Tatum, and some of the men do as well.
Yeah.
But interestingly, we got a great email from Langley Neely, which I think is a terrific name. And he said, I've often heard people ask why a Gambit solo movie. Well, I think the answer is right in front of us all, but no one has really articulated it. 2016 gives us Deadpool in February, Apocalypse in the summer, and Gambit in the fall. We call it autumn. I don't think that it's a coincidence the two solo films with high-profile stars at their centre bookend around the end of the current X-Men team trilogy films. I think Deadpool and Gambit are being pushed to release next year because the studio is looking to replace the character of Wolverine as the all-important anchor of the franchise moving forward. Instead of recasting Wolverine immediately, I think they're using Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool and Channing Tatum's Gambit films to buy some time and allow the studio to weigh their options as they use the film to compete audition who could possibly lead the X-Men franchise in the near future.
There's a pretty savvy email. Yeah, two big stars. Because, when Jackman leaves, it's going to be like this power vacuum, star vacuum. Because the X-Men movies are ensembles, aren't they? And you don't really need the biggest actors in those movies, I think. It's the characters and the scale of the drama that's the pull. Yeah. Do you think... Well, I don't think Deadpool can become the anchor going forward, because he has to exist slightly apart from everything else.
Agreed.
I can't imagine him going into the next X-Men movie without breaking it. It'd be funnier to do like the next X-Men movie and then the next Deadpool movie is kind of concurrent with those events and almost like poking fun at the situation, something like that, like a epilogue.
I think he could pop up in it. I just don't see him being the anchor, being the lead in the way that Jackman's Wolverine has been. Yeah. Whereas Gambit, I think that is interesting, looking at his kind of audition to take over.
Yeah.
But does the X-Men franchise need like an anchor like that, or can it not just be?
And it'd be strange as well because, like, Gambit has always been that roguish character. Does that come? I guess that is similar to Wolverine, but they've got a character like, Cyclops is traditionally the leader of the X-Men, and maybe some people think that character wasn't very well realised in the original Bryan Singer movies. They could have another shot at bringing that character back now that the timeline's reset and stuff. So they've probably, the thing with X-Men, they've got no shortage of characters they can use. That's one of the real benefits of that franchise.
But have they? Because we've talked a lot about trying to replace actors that are put in iconic performances like Christopher Reeve, Robert Downey Jr., and so on. We're now not talking about that. We're talking about replacing an iconic character, and I don't know that there's one as strong as Wolverine in that universe.
Yeah.
There are lots of good characters, but he is the best. That's the reason. He's the one that people love. So it is a challenge they've got on their hands. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how next year pans out.
It's good that they're biding time, not rushing it then, if that's what they're using that time for.
Yeah.
They're not going to be pressurised into recasting and then going, wish we'd found someone who's perfect for the role.
Agreed.
More feedback?
Yeah, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. So this refers back to a show you did a few weeks ago about the scariest moments in superhero movies.
It was a classic show, it really was.
I've heard. Hugh from Ireland has written in saying, thank you for mentioning Superman 3. The part with the robot transformation absolutely terrified me when I was a kid and gave me nightmares for months. I dare not YouTube it to this day. So you probably liked it when you put it on screen.
Oh, it's horrible. I hated having to YouTube it, though, for the show.
It might be a cheat, but it could count as a supervillain movie, and in keeping with the transformation theme, David Cronenberg's The Fly. I remember sneaking downstairs to watch it on TV at around 2 a.m. It must have been around 10. But that part near the end where we see Brundlefly emerge from the chamber scared me so much that I remember being pinned to the couch, trembling with fear, almost unable to use the remote. Then he vomits on the guy's arm and it melts.
At the end of that email... 10, too young to watch The Fly.
Yeah.
I think maybe a few of us did watch it at that age, but you actually can't understand the film at that age, I don't think. Certainly not the love story part of it.
Yeah, or you can definitely understand the vomiting on the arm. That's universal. That cuts across ages.
But I like bringing The Fly into this. There's a feature that I've been wanting to write for ages that we might be able to give us the opportunity to talk about The Fly and films like that on this show.
Yeah.
Watch this space.
And Josh Trank, cited Cronenberg as an influence. And the scene where at the end when he crawls out of it, when he's been fused with the machine itself.
Yeah.
So he's man, he's insect, and he's metal, and he's like all these electronics. Very like the scene where Reed Richards crawling out of the crash teleport when it comes back, and then mixed with a bit Doom as well.
You could say he was more machine than man then, twisted and evil.
You could.
Ryan Carroll, long-time viewer, frequent writer. He just wrote to us to say, you might not be receiving any emails from me for quite a while, and that's because I'm off to work at a hospital in an isolated area of the Guyanese jungle. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get any signal there, but I just want to say that I've thoroughly enjoyed watching your show every week. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
We've lost a viewer, though.
Yeah.
This isn't
He's
good.
doing good work, though.
I know, but it's going to affect our stats.
Yeah.
So, a bit disappointed, really, Ryan. He suggests some topics for future shows, though. Do you like any of these?
Ones that you won't watch.
Yeah, that's like his parting shot.
Legacy.
Number 1, most memorable use of a superpower in an animated film or series. That's quite specific.
It is.
Number 2, will we see network crossovers anytime soon?
Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe.
Don't we already? Arrow and Flash.
Are they same network?
Yeah.
But does he mean different networks?
Oh, we won't see that. Number 3, we'd say we did it. Number 3, most memorable female supervillain in a movie or series.
Supervillain.
Why are we making it about women though?
Yeah. This show's all about equality.
Now, sexiest female supervillain I could get behind, literally and metaphorically. Number 4, best superhero movie set pieces. And he says this is his personal favourite. Didn't we do the best action scenes, though?
Yeah.
I feel like that's too similar.
Ryan, you should watch every episode, mate.
But,
oh, well, good luck, Ryan, in your new adventure.
yeah, we probably won't do any of them, but thanks for... we'll keep them coming if you ever come back from
If you get signal,
the jungle.
If you get signal. Send us a picture. Next one is from Andy Foster. Moon Knight will obviously show up at some point, and I can't wait, but he's more likely to be in films with the Doctor Strange supernatural area or in the grounded Netflix universe. Oh, that's a question. He's asking will they show up in the films. Probably should read this beforehand. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's more likely they'll show up in the films, i.e. Doctor Strange, or in the Netflix universe?
I don't know. Do you know?
I don't know. I think probably I don't know. He's so kind of out there. You feel like it needs the stage of a movie because he can do more kind of outlandish things. Because the Netflix stuff is so grounded.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then he says, surely Runaways would actually make a great show instead of a movie.
Agreed.
Yeah. I think a lot of comic book stuff would make better TV shows. Really, it's more in keeping with the source material.
Well, we might get to see them all the way it's going. Non-stop at the moment, isn't it? Supergirl. Have you watched it yet?
I like that pronouncement. We did this show for 2 years ago. Non-stop, this superhero malarkey.
7 movies next year rather. Have you watched Supergirl yet?
No, I haven't.
Watch Supergirl and we can talk about it on
We'll
here.
do that next week as well.
And yeah, tell us what you think about Supergirl. But before we go, I want to talk about Fisting Dan Stevens. So we obviously tried to get this going last week, the hashtag Fist Dan Stevens.
It turns out loads of people
want to.
Fist Dan Stevens.
Yeah, so Dan Stevens, star of Downton Abbey and The Guest and Night in the Museum 2. We think he should play Iron Fist, so we're trying to get a campaign going, really. And it was great. A few of you got behind it. I'll just read out some of the tweets that we received. Just watch The Guest, Marvel. You should all definitely cast Dan Stevens as Iron Fist. Hashtag Fist Dan Stevens. I'm on board with this Dan Stevens gentleman for the show. Hashtag Fist Dan Stevens. Dan Stevens play Iron Fist, Netflix. Make it happen. I like the fact that people are atting Netflix and Netflix UK.
Get both.
We can't say you should do that, but nothing to stop you.
Yeah.
Same with Marvel, really.
Let's get the message out there.
Kevin Feige. Fist Dan Stevens. Dan Stevens play Iron Fist on Netflix. He was awesomely 80s action hero in The Guest.
Downton Stabby.
That is true. I'm on board. Let's make this happen. Love the idea. Hashtag Fist Dan Stevens.
A bit of paper on your shoe.
And then finally, hashtag Fist Dan Stevens. And then the person writes, Jake Abel should be Iron Fist.
Not really understood the message we're trying to get across, but you're entitled to your own opinion. But just remember to use the hashtag. For any more feedback, send it to superheroShow@ign.com.
And specifically, Jessica Jones, because...
Yeah, so that's all going to hit Netflix. By the time you're watching this, it'll all be on Netflix. Watch as many episodes as you can. Send us feedback, and next week we'll do a big conversation about the series with
Jessica
spoilers.
Jones special,
Yeah, until then, stay right here on IGN.